Welcome to the Why Not Today podcast, where we celebrate courage, determination, and the power of saying, Why not today? I'm your host, Leslie Kane, and in each episode, we dive into inspiring stories of individuals who have taken bold steps, faced their fears, and embraced the possibility of today. From entrepreneurs, artists, to dreamers, to doers, we explore the moments when they said, Enough waiting, why not today? Join me as we uncover the heartwarming, the audacious, and the transformative. Whether it's pursuing a lifelong passion, overcoming obstacles, or simply choosing joy, our guests share their journeys and inspire us all. I started this podcast in honor of my father, Patrick Kane, who often said, Why not today? And remember, you're just one decision away from changing your life. And my guest today is Marissa Chong, who is a repeat guest. She was on probably about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I think you were at the end of season one or beginning of two. But I always talk about where we met, how we connected, and Marissa is very savvy with social media. I will give you that. And I think I said this before, you slide in very nicely and not like some people that are going in and you know that it's a sales thing. So
Yeah.
a good friend of mine, Jenna Lynn, and we might talk about her, was working with you in a challenge, and you just kind of came into my DM and like, oh, how do you know Jenna Lynn? And just you were very natural about it. And so um, I have done lots of different things with Marissa and her company, Permanent Change Coaching. And so we talked the first time about kind of general how she got where she was, her courage story. But I really feel like I want this podcast to give people tools to help them better their life. So Marissa has an amazing company helping people with your health. And it's a long term, not just let's go on this fad diet and then gain all the weight back. But it's a permanent, which is in her name. And I so admire what you've done, how you've grown the business, the events you've done, and so we thought we'd have Marissa back today. We're going to touch on her story, but also I want you to share some tools and things you use as part of your business, obviously, that we'll have some giveaways at the end, a free link. And then if you are looking for a permanent change in your life, then if you're a listener of this podcast, then we're going to have some deals for you. So we're trying to add some fun things and not only tools, but work finding those businesses that I'm passionate about and I believe in to have to work together to grow each other's businesses. So, Marissa, welcome. Why don't you share a quick little bio of who you are and a fun fact about you?
Cool. All right. Well, thank you. And that was just such like an amazing intro. So I will try to fill those shoes. But
You will.
no, it's an honor to be back and to be a repeat guest. That's always a fun time. I think there's very few podcasts I've been repeat guests on, so I'm honored. Okay, so a little bit about me. So I am Marissa Chong, as you said, and I am in North Carolina now, but I grew up, born and raised in the DC DMV area, which is how I was originally connected with Leslie, of course, through social media, but I was local to her at the time. Um, I am a dog mom, so I have a Rottweiler named Bennett, and he is the sweetest thing. I was gonna say sweetest little thing, but little doesn't
Not
really
little.
fit the description. And I love what I do, and it's definitely a huge part of my life. But I'm also really passionate about my culture. So I'm half Korean and half Caucasian, so I've really dove into that in my life a lot, and I've always considered myself an athlete, whether it be volleyball or fitness. So that's a big part of my life that, yeah, it relates to work, but it's also just a part of me. Um, so when it comes to the company, I basically,
We're
I
not
would
going to
say,
go into that yet.
okay, okay.
I just wanted
So
who you
just a little
are.
bit
So
about
what's a
me.
fun fact?
Fun fact would be that, oh man. Um, Fun fact is that I guess I have a secret talent of singing. I'm not like
Really?
practiced or great right now
I
because I
did not know that.
haven't practiced, but I can kind of strum the guitar and I love to sing and sing along. And it was all kind of self-taught through like listening to different songs and harmonizing and things. But yeah, if I'm alone in the
That's so
car, in the
cool.
shower, you can catch me belting it out.
Well, I might try, but it doesn't sound good. So, so what does courage mean to you, Marissa?
Courage. I would say I'm curious if this will like line up with the last time that I was on the
Mhm.
show,
Yeah, it's
but
funny to see what everybody's how they change.
yeah, but I would definitely say that courage is standing up in the face of fear. So fear is present, but you do it anyways.
Okay.
And I would say in a lot of ways, I mean, it just really it resonates with my journey in how I started my business, how I live my life. But especially I think how we impact women's lives too, because when you make a change in your life, especially something as integral to how you live as like your health and your fitness lifestyle, it's scary because many of the people that I talk to have done the thing over and over again and failed and failed and failed. And starting again is scary because you're scared to fail yourself again, fail the
Hmm.
process again, whatever it is, and not get to where you want to go. But the thing I always like to think about is, the only surefire way to fail is to not start in the first place.
Yep.
So if you have courage, then you can stand up in the face of that fear and give yourself a chance to succeed in anything at all. But definitely that applies to health and fitness, and starting that journey. So I would say, short answer, standing up in the face of fear.
Love it. Good answer. So, I love your story, and it evolved into this business, but you started super young, and I admire what you've done and just watching you and how savvy you are in business as young as you started. So, how did you start this journey in your fitness, and how old were you?
Yeah. So
How
I
young
started
were you?
the fitness journey, I would say, really started probably when I was about 14 or 15. So
Well,
sophomore.
starting your business.
Oh,
You s-
business was like straight out of high school.
Okay.
So like the little bit of backstory that you need to know why I started the business straight out of high school was essentially just that I really struggled with disordered eating patterns and habits and really, really toxic cycles throughout high school. And coming out of that, it was like later senior year of high school that, and this will show my age and how young I actually am, but like social media was starting to take off. Instagram was a thing at this point, and I was connecting myself with different industry leaders that were preaching a more sustainable message, evidence-based nutrition, things that actually relied on research and not just hearsay. And it was them that I really latched on to because I like to think of myself as an intellectual. So I found that side of things much more interesting and grounded. And I started fueling my body correctly, or at least trying to do it correctly,
Right.
and really just latched on to the idea of building strength and confidence rather than depriving your body. And I grew so passionate about that through my senior year of high school that I did decide as soon as I graduated that I was going to study for my in-person personal trainer certification. So July, I believe, of 2015 was that year. And
Wow.
then I took a gap semester for the first semester of school to just get settled in personal training in person. And then in like rapidly within that year, I grew so passionate about it that I was like, I don't want this to be part-time. I want to do this full-time. So it was March 8th of 2016, right in the middle of my first semester of college ever, that I was like, I'm gonna launch this business. And online businesses were not what they are today. It was
No.
literally like, if anyone remembers Instagram still being chronological, like you could scroll through and the posts would come up in the order that they were posted. Um, that was when I posted the website and I said, this is my website, marissaroyfitness.com. I'm offering online health and fitness services. I had a little bit of a concept of what that could look like just based on other industry leaders in the space that talked about it. But really, I was kind of just starting from scratch. Like I just pulled up Excel sheets, tried to build out little templates, and would email clients back and forth about protocols and adherence. And that's where it was born.
That's
So
awesome.
through
And
that.
did you have a why not today moment, like that moment that you were sitting in your dorm room or whatever, you got the website, you started the business, that you remember where you were, what you were doing? And
I
did
don't
everybody, including
remember.
your parents, think you were crazy?
So not quite because I think I was working at the gym at the time, so like the cultural acceptance around it was like, okay, cool, you're 18 years old going on 19, like what harm could this do basically?
Right.
And you're already in the gym environment. But I do remember kind of the setting. It wasn't an exact day or an exact moment, but I remember reading a couple of different books. It was You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero.
I like that.
Relentless by Tim Grover. And like those two books just like sat on my bedside table and I just read them over and over again. And those two books kind of gave me that energy of like, F it, like, let's go, like, let's do something about this. Like, I can be an entrepreneur, I can start something. And so I remember that I did do the website very quickly. I think it was all in one afternoon, a couple of hours that I went on to, I think it was sitebuilder.com, put the photos in, put the text in. It was hideous, absolutely hideous. You've seen the little
Amazing where we
screenshot of it.
start and where we finish, right?
Yeah. But it was up and I announced it.
And I think, what would they say? Done is better than perfect.
Yeah, exactly. I've always lived by that too. And I think it's the reason why I've been able to progress through this
Yeah.
journey.
Did you finish college?
Yes, I did. And then
Okay. Good
I
for you.
went halfway through my master's, but I did not finish that.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
good for you. I figured starting a business, you'd bail, but that's awesome. So
Yeah.
today the company is personal or permanent change coaching. So let's
Hmm.
talk about what you do with that, how you do it, and how you can assist people and kind of some mindset tools, whether people work with you or just want to work on their own, which, hiring a coach, we know makes it having that commitment. I heard a phrase the other day is two things. It was when you pay, oh, what was it?
Is
Something that,
it people who pay attention?
yep, that one.
Hmm.
And then the other one was the transaction start the transaction itself is basically the transformation. When you make
Mm,
that commitment, there were two that were so powerful, and I did write them down, they're just not in front of me. But yeah, when you pay attention. And when you make that commitment, the transformation comes in the transaction when you make that commitment. And that's
yeah.
so true. And I know that, when you pay for things, you show up, or because these days, social media, everybody invites you to everything. And I say interested or maybe just as
Yeah.
a placeholder. And when somebody says maybe, you know darn well they're not going to commit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so,
No, I've heard the first one obviously because I suggested it, but the second one I haven't heard that exactly, but I really like it
yeah,
because
I'll find the exact one and share it with you.
yeah, especially because of like kind of what's behind it. I've seen this happen so many times where like someone's never really invested in their health in that way before, and it's the changing of the behavior of never having done that to then taking that action. That's the first big change that they make is their behavior of how they then invest in themselves, and then everything else follows. So,
Yeah. So let's
um,
go back to the original question.
yes,
Like, so
I'm gonna
what do you
change
guys
the
do and why are you different and what are some tools that people can use?
Absolutely. So, our mission is really to empower women to find their confidence both physically and internally in that process by really helping them solve the root cause of whatever their weight loss problem is. So that way they could have those results permanently. And so, the root cause can be a couple of different things. So, a lot of times when you hear root cause, in this day and age with social media, it can make you think hormones. It can make you think gut health, which that's a part of it. That can be the root cause for some women, but it can also be a lot of other different facets. So the way I like to look at it and what I think really makes what we do integral and what makes it permanent into people's lives is the root cause is a combination of six different things, six different factors of deep health. So we have our physical, which is all things related to your metabolism, your nutrition, your training, and things like hormones, your gut, your medical conditions, etc. But we also have your emotional health, your environmental health, your mental health, your relational health, and your even your existential slash spiritual health. These six factors comprise your health as a whole. So when I say root cause, it's never just one thing, because if it was just one thing, then all these magic pills out there would work because all these
Mhm.
magic pills solve the one thing, and marketing is all about the one thing
Right.
and that's how they sell you. But the reality is I mean, the answer at what I would have to sell you is much less sexy because it is all of those things, how they interact with each other, and how do we implement behavior change that aligns with all six of those things for you in your life that makes it stick. And so the process of coaching is not a protocol or a plan that I hand you and say, all right, this is your answer, go. It's a collaborative discussion that week over week, we're iterating, we're talking through, we're figuring out what doesn't work, what does work, and really figuring out what habits, what changes can you integrate into your life over time? And it builds, right? So, what could be the changes that you could make today are different than the changes that you could make in 6 months if you kept going step by step, because habits build over time. You get more proficient at things over time. So, if something's difficult for you right now, it doesn't mean that it's difficult for you in 6 months. So, it's just such a dynamic process that I think is really how I can best describe what we do and how we make transformation a lasting thing because the client is so involved in that process.
Right. Yeah, I love that yours isn't just a quick fix and it's not just a uh 30 days or a 75. It is a commitment to you. Because it is a long-term commitment, which I love.
Yeah.
And you guys are definitely vested. I know the first time that you and I talked, I was on my way to, we met for coffee and I was on my
Yeah.
way to the grocery store and I gave you my grocery list and talked about what we were eating. She's like, you're not eating enough.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
which is so true. And, um, my age is a lot different than yours and, more protein and eating the right things but eating more is so important.
Mhm.
And things you taught me were, yeah, lots of good stuff. So what is your typical, is there a typical age of a client or is it all
Uh,
over the place?
Lately, we have been really focused on the millennial age group. So that is anywhere between 28 and 42, 43.
Okay,
Really by just product of, I think, who I am,
right,
the age group that I fall into, and our coaches fall into, and the struggles that I'm very familiar with, because I like to really feel confident when I'm helping people through things, and it's easier when I know that I've been through it or
right,
have coached a lot of people through it. So that's really a lot of women that are pre and postpartum, like having like first time starting a family, planning to start a family, or are really starting to go through the changes of perimenopause because that starts as early as 35, 36, 37 for a lot of women.
yeah. I had a guest on a couple weeks ago and we talked about menopause and all about it. And do you know menopause is just a day?
Is what?
One day.
Oh, the actual like event of it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Which didn't realize. And so a lot of it, we're through, they say a third of your life you're either perimenopause or postmenopause.
Yeah.
And it's something that people are talking about now. So I assume you do work in that world with hormones and helping people.
Yeah, we do
Like,
have a lot of clients that like a good handful in their like 40s to 50s as well, and even some in their 60s. I wouldn't say it's the majority,
right,
but I mean, the hormonal changes that people go through during those times, we have to be familiar with all of it because unfortunately, there are a lot of women in their 30s right now that have postmenopausal hormonal profiles because
wow,
of the stress that they've been under, the different medications, birth controls that they've taken that have kind of wreaked havoc on things. So we're dealing with hormonal ages of 55, 60 in women that are my age. And that's really
okay,
scary.
yeah.
But that could
I
be part of
think
the
no
root
way
cause.
that that's you, but it can be very much so.
Yeah, yeah, it really can be. So yeah, it's something we have to be familiar with across the board.
And do you do any kind of testing, like
Hmm.
hormone testing or?
Yeah, so we pretty much can order any test under the sun at like practitioner prices. So basically the lowest that you can get it at. So we can either custom order a lab panel, like if you wanted to just look at a couple different markers for follow-ups, or like a full comprehensive one. Because the thing about labs is that when you go to your doctor and you say, "Can I have a full panel?" They typically just give you a CBC, CMP with differential and usually a lipid profile and maybe TSH. And that's not a full thyroid panel,
No.
just for anyone who doesn't know. So it's really frustrating because women will go to their doctors, they'll get those labs done, and they will also be told that they're fine because the reference ranges are so wide that it's really just encompassing. So, Western medicine encompasses the non diseased population in those normal ranges, but not optimal. So,
Right.
optimal is a much narrower sector within that. So, it can be really frustrating when they're going to a doctor, someone that they do trust and respect, and they're kind of being dismissed. And so our job's not to fight with the doctors, it's just to provide them with another set of eyes and hopefully more access to testing that they can get a hold of.
Well, it's interesting. My guest that I had, Laura, talking about menopause, we
Yeah.
talked about the testing, and I shared that I had a physical last year and um, went to after the physical. I'm like, aren't you going to do blood work? They're like, we do that afterwards now. I'm like, okay. And then I said, because the insurance I had, and I've gotten compromise with them all of a sudden giving me these big bills that didn't explain. I'm like, what's this going to cost? And she's like, oh, I don't know. Took me 2 days to
Mm.
figure out what the cost was. And it was a lot higher than I wanted to spend. And I asked her, I'm like, so do we need to do all these? She's like, oh, no, you don't need all of them. So she took part of them off. And then she's like, yeah, you're within the range. You're fine. Uh,
Yeah, that's
and
a
so, yeah,
frustrating
it's just
process.
such a skim of it. And I know, there's so many other testings you can do and things to, look at gut health and look at hormones and all those things. And I
Yeah.
love that you guys have added that to your services.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, what else do you do? How do you help people? Is it, um, I've gone through the program, so I know it's what you're eating. It's you offer an app, you offer calls. So let's talk about all the, if somebody was a PCC client, what are they getting?
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, basically, to start out, we're getting you set up with an app where it has everything in one place, your nutrition, your training, your communications with your coach. But the approach that I typically like to take, I'll equate it to what I call the lowest hanging fruit approach. And so a lot of times people come in with concerns about their hormones, their gut health, things like that. But they also have all of their habits out of whack. And so the first probably month or two, we're focusing on let's make sure that all the habits are pretty consistent in the right spot to rule out any symptoms that you're dealing with that have to do with just your behavior. And then once that's all kind of cleared out, then we can order tests and look deeper because then it's a fair assessment of the actual condition and not just an assessment of condition plus behavior. And you can't separate those when you're looking at a single lab marker. So the really lowest hanging fruit approach is okay, let's take a look at your nutrition, let's take a look at your training, and let's change one thing at a time, right? So, for example, with you, Leslie, it was all right. So, taking a survey of your nutrition right now, it looks like we're under eating and we could definitely use more protein. So, one of the first steps we're going to implement is let's increase our protein first, because that's inevitably going to increase your muscle retention, as well as probably increase your calories a little bit and your caloric intake a little bit. And then we can add in a caloric goal, a fiber goal, specific kinds of carbs and fats that we want you to have from there. But that gradual approach allows a client to actually focus on one thing at a time and not be super, super overwhelmed with the process. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still hard and it still like takes intention and time and planning, but it is better than if we were to just throw it all at you at once, right? So that's that in conjunction with training, where we're going to take a metabolic boosting approach to training because a lot of women will try to rely on just walking, cardio, burning calories to lose weight, which is some of the equation, but without strength training or any sort of resistance training, we're losing muscle every single year after you turn 35 drastically. So, making sure that we are not just holding on to the muscle that we have, but hopefully building some is going to build what you could equate to your metabolic furnace, how many calories your body just naturally burns in a day so that you have a better shot at losing weight without having to eat that much less.
Right.
So that would be the training side. And we really monitor the progression, the form, and everything that the client's doing really closely, I think, compared to people's expectations of what online coaching can do. So, I mean, day in and day out, I'm looking at form videos, I'm giving clients cues, I'm walking them through how they can improve their mind muscle connection, and I'm making sure they're pushing themselves on their workouts. They're actually getting close to failure and like getting more out of their sessions. So
What
if you
does
go to the
close to
gym,
failure mean?
like for example, muscular failure, if I were doing 10 reps, I would want someone to be basically at the point where they could not push up the 11th. If they were to complete the 10, it's kind of shaky, it's kind of slow. They do it, and then the next one just will not happen. Your muscles can't do it.
So you do all this virtually. How the heck do you do this virtually?
The training side, or you mean all of it?
The training and watching people's form and.
So just having them take videos of themselves doing it. So when somebody is training, they do have access to video tutorials of everything. So they are able to watch and try to mimic, but a lot of times that's not an exact one-to-one, right? You can watch a video and you could try to do it and your body might still be doing some weird stuff, right?
Right.
So then we come in with, hey, if there's ones that you're pretty uncertain about, take a video, send it to us, and that way we can give you the cueing to make sure you feel confident of like, okay, I'm doing it and I'm writing it down in the app, but I'm also confident that I'm doing it well. So I know I'm not going to get hurt.
Yeah, that's my problem is I do things and I'm sure I'm not doing them right. Um, it's just,
Yeah.
okay, let's get it done. And when you're here by yourself doing things. And so with your program, you can do it at home. You don't have to be in a gym, correct?
Yeah. I would say probably 60% of our clients train from home,
Yeah.
maybe 70.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you have lots of resources, which I love. And then do you still do calls, weekly calls, check-in calls?
Yes. So we have our weekly check-ins. So these are asynchronous because we're all really, really busy, right? So the weekly touch point with the coach is a form that you fill out that allows you to reflect on your week. And then the coach will take all of the information that's already synced up in your app. We already have all your nutrition data, your weight, your stats, your workout, and everything like that. Your form that you fill out is just telling us your perception of the week and what you thought about it. Then we take all that information together and we respond with a video message in depth, really just focusing on what went well, what can we improve, and what are the focuses for the coming week. So that way you can leave off feeling like, all right, I know my focus. But then we do have our weekly office hour calls where clients can come together with the coaches and ask questions, discuss with each other, share ideas. That's always a good time because like community is just so underrated. And
Yeah.
when you actually have other women who kind of get it, because like you can have friends that are on a health and fitness journey, but like if they're not in the coaching program with you, they don't quite get it. So that's really nice as well. So we have those and typically lately we've been centering them around different topics so that like there's education built into these office hours as well.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's very helpful. Yeah, and when you have somebody you're going through with it, it definitely helps to have that accountability, not
Yeah.
just to a coach, but another person, and you see their success.
Yeah. It
Um,
is nice.
yeah, and I know somebody I know that has gone through the program and been very successful, and it totally has changed her life with just mindset and things, reaching for bigger goals and things. And so I know that is a big component. And also I know how you said the six parts or six components.
Hmm.
I know somebody else that I know very well, and she is from a very athletic family. Like her dad was a football coach, and she was always, she says, like the chubby kid and not athletic. And so at some point she went through a transformation, lost a lot of weight and has kept it off and more into fitness, but she still in her mind has that worthy component that she's still
Hmm.
fighting with. And so, yeah, a lot of it is between our two ears, isn't it? And, the whole social media thing is just crazy, the comparison and all the things that we do to ourselves.
Yeah. It's pretty ridiculous these days.
Yeah. So, if someone wanted to work with you guys, what are the first steps? Or is there anything else you want to share, tools that people can do? Like if they don't want to work with you or a coach, or they want to do things on their own, what are things you suggest? And then if they did, what are the next steps with you?
Yeah. So, regardless of if you want to work with a coach, myself, my team, or not, I
Oh,
would
and
say,
by the way, she has a big team. It's not just Marissa.
yes, I do. But I do personally work with clients myself now too. So, that is always an option now as well. But what I would say, regardless of if you want to work with me or not, is the number one piece of advice I would give you about this journey is to stop looking externally and start looking internally for your answers. What that means is a lot of times in the health and fitness space, I mean, marketing, sales is really prevalent, it's really strong, and everybody's telling you, like I said, about that one thing that you can do, that
And
one
we are
thing.
recording this in January. And so what's
Yeah.
today? Today, we're recording it on January 9th. What's the official quit day? January 20th?
Quick day.
Quit day, when everybody quits their New Year's resolution.
Oh, I've heard that it's like in the third week.
Yeah.
Um, So like it's really strong, right? And everybody's, especially right now, inundated with health messaging and marketing.
Yeah.
And it's going to detract you away from what's best for you. It's going to make you think that thing's the best thing for you, that diet, that program. If you just trained that way, if you just ate this way, when in reality, the answer is within yourself. And that's really unsexy to face and to look at because it feels easier to just wipe your fridge clean and follow a bunch of blanket rules. But the reality is that you have certain habits, behaviors, tendencies, ways you like to eat, ways you like to move your body, that if you don't pay attention to those, anything you try, it's not going to stick for the long haul, right? You can like an approach, even you can like a diet, you can like a workout plan, but if it's not something that eventually gets more tailored to your life, it's not going to stick in the long run. So I encourage you to look inward at, what am I currently doing? And what could I change about it to start to get it closer to things like eating higher protein, more fruits and vegetables, moving more? We all know these things, right? So, like, why are we always scattered? It's because of the environment that we're in. So, that would be my advice. Work with me or not. But you asked, what are the steps if they do, right?
Yes.
So if you do want to work with me or my team on any of the things that we've discussed, whether it be behavior change, looking deeper at your internal health to then move forward with your external health and weight loss, I would say the biggest thing is we can provide a link to just book a call. I have a call. Basically, it's a little info form that I would like you to fill out in as much detail as you can about your situation. It should probably take 5 to 10 minutes, and then pick a time to book a call with myself or one person on my team. Just make sure you let us know that you're from Leslie, because if you come from here and you book a call and you decide to sign up, we will include $300 worth of testing for free
Oh,
within your
wow.
sign up. Yeah. So any tests, like typically a lot of the bigger tests and like lab draws that we would take for clients end up in that $300 mark anyways. So that's why I say that.
Okay.
Um, but it can be very, very comprehensive for that price, but we'll include it with sign up if you come from Leslie, and why not today?
Yeah.
But that call is basically just, we really do dive deeper into your situation, because we don't work with everyone, and there are people that we do turn away because either like just the situation doesn't fit, or it's not exactly what we do or who we help. So we want to make sure that it's a good fit both ways and that we really are aligned. So in that call, we will ask you more about your situation and then walk you through the process and how it would look for you specifically. And then from there, you can make an informed decision on whether or not you'd like to invest with us, and then we can move forward from there.
Love it. And so I know we're going to include in the show notes, but where's the best place to find you?
I would say Instagram for sure. So Instagram is Marissa Roy Fitness, and we can put that in the show notes. And the link in my bio on my Instagram is that exact link to book a call too. So it's
Okay.
all in one place.
And then you have a website too, if people want to go there.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Better than your first one.
much, much.
Okay. And then we had mentioned beginning of the call when you and I talked that we're gonna have a link for um a file of some kind, a giveaway. What are we giving them?
Yes. So I have this resource put together that I think would just be beneficial for anyone who resonates with the stuff that we've talked about today, like constantly being inundated with this diet, that diet, not knowing where to turn, what to do. I put together like basically a one sheet that will walk you through the 5 main things I recommend you focus on if you are in that position where you don't know where to start, you're overwhelmed, and you just want to lose weight and do so in a sustainable manner. So it's got 5 steps, it lays it all out for you, and it's a super quick read. And the premise behind it is losing weight in a way that doesn't require massive restriction or cutting calories like crazy, just being able to do so by boosting your metabolism naturally with the right steps.
All right. And that sounds like the answer to my last question. And I don't know if you want to reiterate on this is how would you encourage somebody else to take care of their health? And to say, why not today? Like start now.
How would I encourage somebody else to take care of their health and say, why not today? Well, I'll start a little bit with a little bit of a tone shift, but regret really is the most painful thing in life. And you only get one body and one life. And so Yes, a lot of times when we look at our health and our fitness journey, when we look forward at it, we think, oh, that's a lot of work, or I don't want to do that, or it feels intimidating, or I'm scared I'm going to fail again. But the reality is that a lot of the beliefs that we hold about health and fitness have been bred from this unhealthy place of restrictive diets and things like that that may not even be true if we explore it. But even if it were true, being healthy is the greatest gift that we can give ourselves and the people in our lives around us. So it's not selfish to be healthy, and it's not going to take away from other things if we approach it appropriately. So I would say face that freaking fear, use
Mhm.
courage, and really just take the first step, whatever that is. If it's reaching out for help, if it's starting a new habit, if it's just saying, why not today? Like you said, I think really just remembering that your body and the vessel that your soul lives in is the most valuable thing that you have. Because when you're healthy, we take it for granted. But as soon as we get sick, right? Even if it's just a head cold, what are we focused
Yes.
on? I just want to get better. I just want to get better,
Yep.
especially when there's more serious things that come up. So just don't take that for granted, and find little ways to prioritize your health and just get started.
Why not today? Just do that
Yeah,
one thing. So true. Well, thank you. And I will share your contact information in the show notes, your um, link for your one sheet, your one page. And then also remember, if anybody, you reach out to Marissa and want to work with her, you can get that $300 credit for tests, which is awesome.
yeah,
And yeah, just mention that you found out about her through Why Not Today. So thank you
yes.
for being a repeat guest. And it's always great to connect with you. I wish you lived closer.
I
Um,
know.
but one day we're going to get you up here to be a guest speaker at the luncheon too sometime.
Yes, I'd love
So.
to.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you for checking out the Why Not Today podcast, listening, watching. Remember, subscribe on YouTube, on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen, and review it, like it. And you can find everything you want to know about the Why Not Today podcast at whynottodaypodcast.com. The website is on an upgrade. We're upgrading it, so it should be new, but you can still find everything there. Remember, that Why Not Today isn't just a daily decision, but it's a movement to encourage people and inspire people to live your life. We're only given one life, to do it with courage and pursue those dreams and be passionate about it. So we have Why Not Today merchandise to encourage you every day. So thanks again for being our guest. And thank you everybody for joining us on this inspiring journey. Remember, every day is an opportunity to take action, chase your dreams, and make a difference. So why not today? Thanks again, Marissa. And until next time.
Thank you.
Remember, be courageous. Take care of that body.